So today I'm going to be helping you to sort of focus your business idea to really sell to people that are going to be interested in your business. And we call this target market or niche marketing. So target market or niche marketing focuses on selling to a specific group, like a demographic of potential customers who would benefit the most from your products or services. I'm assuming that if you're starting your own business, it's going to be something that's pretty small. So you want to be focused in your marketing. Chances are, because people have different interests, they have different needs, not everybody is going to be interested in buying from you. So you want to make sure that you're spending money on marketing on a specific group of people that are most likely to buy your business, because this is buy from your business. So this would be the most effective way to market and to really promote your products. I'm going to give you a little bit of an example. So there are 30 million daily users on YouTube. Chances are, if you're making a generic video, it's going to be sort of lost in all of these videos that people are posting. So 30 million daily users on YouTube, and these YouTube users are all looking at different types of videos. There's a lot of different categories of videos on YouTube. There's how-to videos, there's beauty and fashion, entertainment, gaming, music, news and politics, and even vlogs. So if you're creating a generic video that's not targeted or focused, it's going to be lost into all of these videos that people are posting every day. So much like a business, you want to be targeted in your approach to marketing and promoting. This is sort of like mass marketing versus niche marketing. Mass marketing is you're trying to reach as many people as possible. You're trying to ignore market segments and focus on the idea that customers are similar in their tastes and preferences. If you're a well-established brand like Coca-Cola or Levi's, you can use mass marketing and try to market to sort of broader platforms to try to reach as many people as possible. And you try to focus on high sales, trying to increase your market share. But unless you're a big company, this often has a lot of drawbacks for small companies or startup companies. Here are some disadvantages of mass marketing. Mass marketing is very expensive. If you're trying to create a product or service and you're trying to sell to everybody, this often means that you have to spend a lot of money on marketing, and these platforms are very expensive. Things like newspaper ads, TV ads are examples of mass marketing where you're trying to reach as many people as possible, but it's not very targeted. Mass marketing could be popular. You have products or services which are popular in one area but not another. So you could use a mass marketing approach and try to sell to a lot of different people, but some people are just not going to buy your products or services. So you want to be very focused. And if you have a mass marketing approach to your business where you try to sell to as many people as possible, it doesn't address the needs and wants of the customer and what they're looking for. So it's not tailored and it's not personalized. So unless you're a very well-established company or brand, you don't want to have a mass marketing approach. You want to have a niche or target market approach where you sell your products and services to a specific group of people and you address their needs and their wants. So in marketing, we have something called the STP model, which stands for segmentation, targeting, and positioning. So to get the product or service to the right people or even to the right business, because sometimes businesses sell to other businesses, you want to segment the market, target a single segment, and position yourself within the segment. So you have all of these YouTube viewers. You sort of break these into segments. So you have people that like comedy, you have people that like to listen to music. So you sort of segment the market, you target one of these markets, and then you position yourself within the segment to sort of use things like the marketing mix. And this is going to increase the effectiveness of your marketing and your promotion. So what is a segmented market? A market segment is a group of people who share similar needs, wants, and behaviors, and you're lumping them together for marketing purposes. So as I mentioned before, once you have these segmented markets, you're going to pick one that you like and you're going to target this market, this segment. And this involves concentrating these marketing efforts for these segments. So here are some qualities of a target segment. So you have all of these users, all of the customers, and you try to separate these customers into categories, and then you focus on a type of category. So there are some qualities of a target segment. There's a clearly defined wants and needs. They have money to buy your product and service. They have willingness and authority to buy your product or service. And there's enough customers in the market or segment to be profitable. So it's not too small, not too big. So you want to be sort of broad enough that you're able to make a lot of money, but not too focused so that there's not enough people, not enough return purchases. So when I was teaching a course called Marketing 12 or E-commerce 12, there was this project I did on tourism. Now there's a whole bunch of tourists, and these tourists have different values, they have different needs, and they have different interests. So as an example, I looked at this Explorer quotient, and they gave me profiles of all of these Canadian travelers. So these would be examples of segments. So let's just take some time to understand what goes into a segment. We have here authentic experiencers. Authentic experiencers are typically understated travelers looking for authentic, tangible engagement with destinations they seek, with a particular interest in understanding the history of the places they visit. So you have here the demographics, you have gender, education, employment, you have age, they have interests, values, travel values. So they love historical travel. These are the values of this segment. So they like spontaneity, they care about the health of the planet, and they're focused on maintaining control and autonomy. And they're going to avoid certain things, and they tend to like certain things. So this would be all of the travelers, and then you're breaking these travelers into segments. So this segment would be called authentic experiencers, and they tend to make up about 12% of the Canadian market. So this is another type of segment. So you have people that prefer culture and history, authentic experiences, and then you also have people that like to focus on escaping from the stresses and getting pampered and indulging themselves. So they're going to seek comfort, escape, they like nature, and they prefer rejuvenation. So here's their education, their employment, age. So this would be another segment. So you're breaking the whole travel market into segments and trying to categorize them based on values. Here's why you want to focus on segmenting and really breaking apart the market into a few segments. First, you avoid competition with firms trying to capture the same customers. So when you segment, then you can really sort of position yourselves within the segment, and this is going to help to really focus on a specific group of customers and really tailoring to their needs and wants. This also reduces the cost of marketing and advertising. Let's say, for example, you have a lot of nature travelers. Rather than putting an ad in a newspaper, which is sort of like mass marketing, you can focus on marketing and communications that would sort of tailor to this sort of group of customers. So maybe nature people will look at nature blogs or nature magazines. And then you can put ads there and really tailor to these group of people. And then within your own business, you can sort of tailor to those group of customers and really sort of focus on their values and focus on their needs and wants. So you're breaking apart the whole market into different segments. So when you're creating segments or even deciding between segments, here are some things to consider, because now that you have segments, you have to pick one to focus on. First of all, is the segmentation viable, and can we satisfy their needs and wants? Can we profit from it? Is it accessible and easy to enter? Is it likely to grow? And is it measurable? And do we have the resources to reach this segment? So let's say, for example, if you're going to be focusing on travelers and you're going to be focusing on rejuvenation travelers, you might be thinking about, can we profit from it? Do we have resources? And is it easy? And is it likely to grow? So you're going to be thinking about these segments, and these are things to consider when picking segments. Now, there are different ways to segment, and as we saw in the previous traveler quotients, These are some things that they use to segment, and there's 4 different ways to segment. You have geographic. It's the most common. Segment by focusing on a specific region or area. You have demographic, age, gender, ethnicity, income, family size. You have psychographic, and you have behavioral. Many people get number 3 and number 4 kind of mixed up, but psychographic is more about their values, their interests, their motives, their lifestyles. And behavior is more about the things that you can actually see, like their actions. So for geographic segments, you can focus on a specific city. So obviously, for example, the Vancouver Canucks are going to be focusing on advertising to people in the BC area, maybe Washington State, but they wouldn't go to Alberta because Alberta already has 2 NHL teams. So geographic segmentation is focusing on a specific area. Demographic. Demographic is more about age, gender, and ethnicity stats. So for example, cosmetics. Younger and older customers are going to have different needs. So a 22-year-old is going to have different needs compared to a 40 or 50-year-old because of the differences in age. You have psychographic. Psychographic, you have different people with different lifestyles, attitudes, and motives. So grocery shopping is an example of ways you can sort of conduct psychographic segmentation. You have people that prefer vegan products, maybe you have vegetarians. So these are people that have different attitudes, lifestyles. So you can see this in a grocery store. And behavioral. Restaurants are often considering behavioral segments. You have restaurants that just focus on takeout, delivery, like a business lunch, like a quick lunch, or maybe customers that prefer time to sit down and enjoy their meal. So there's 4 ways to segment a market: geographic, demographic, psychographic, and behavioral. Now that you have a target market, you can create something called a user personas. A user personas is a semi-fictional write-up to identify your typical customer in your audience. It is used to identify your ideal customer, to identify behaviors of your customer, to understand the needs of your customers and their pain points, discover ways that people search for and buy and use products, and to improve the customer experience. So now that you have a segment, you have a market, segment, and you're going to create sort of a Pokédex. You're going to create a typical biography of the average user and their segment. And this is actually pretty fun to do because you can look at creating a fictional person, think about the characteristics of this person, things that they're going to do. So rather than looking at a segment, you can create a biography, a fictional biography of a specific person. And there are some benefits like you can meet their needs better, you can better understand your customers, and you can discover ways that the people use your products and buy your products. So are they using social media, for example? What type of things do they prefer? Their values, their interests. So segment, and then you're going to create a user personas. So these are examples, and they have characteristics, and this will be sort of your average customer. So just to recap, when creating a business, it's best to pick an ideal group of customers to sell to, and we call this niche or target markets. These are selected segments that are groups of people with similar interests, and you don't want to do mass marketing or like general marketing because you want to be very focused, and mass marketing is very expensive, and you don't reach the people that are most interested in buying your products and services. And finally, creating segments allows you to focus your marketing, and you can create things like user personas to understand the customer better. So segment the market, you have a big market, segment it, select a target, and then position yourselves to be successful in your market. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to like and subscribe. And the next video, I'm going to be talking about forms of business ownership. So thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.